G'day guys, welcome to another video. Here we have the team from GetBlok. So joining me today is Rob and Vinny. How are you guys?
Doing well, CW. How are you today?
Yeah, fantastic. A little bit tired. And Vinny, yourself?
Doing great. Good to be here.
Awesome. So let's just kick things off from the get-go. What is GetBlok.io?
Sure. So
you want to cover take this one? You take this one.
Okay, I will. So, GetBlok.io, started as a community activity between a lot of, us, between Rob, myself, and Karat. We were both miners in the Ergo blockchain, and we started to get to know each other, talk about how to build rigs, learn about how to, operate, a mining, just from a small hobbyist perspective. And that evolved from a hobby to potentially a business opportunity. And so we decided to form GetBlok.io as an entity. And GetBlok.io is, our motto is empowering humanity through blockchain. So we focus on doing research and development on a couple of components that help develop capabilities on blockchain that have real world use cases. And we found Ergo to be kind of a perfect home for that innovation. A lot of people know us as far as the smart pool concept. That really is an incubation for ideas and capabilities. We've met Karat and Choose Enthusiast, also who's our core developer, and it's taken off from there. So Rob, you want to add anything else I missed?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. I mean, like you said, we were just a couple miners in the community and helping each other out, and it snowballed into a friendship, a partnership, and we were chatting early before. I think the great thing about our team is that there's no limitations, right? We're all completely invested in the project and everything that we're doing within the blockchain space, and we come together and we get things done. So it's it's been a great journey from again just meeting each other on the internet to becoming what I would say long-term friends, and we plan to do this for a long time. So
yeah, friends and business partners. You sort of just touched on there on how you sort of actually got started in regards to GetBlok.io, but what was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so I mean, let me start and then Vinny, you can jump in. So I think the inspiration initially was how could we take some of our knowledge, some of the things that we've been working on, or some of the concepts and use cases that we've identified, and bring that to, the blockchain Ergo and potentially others. But, I think we found, a space within the blockchain, which is, mining in general, that has been kind of stale and untapped for several years now, right? There hasn't been very much innovation in this space. So I think, from that standpoint, we identified that there is, obviously, some movement that could happen within this space. And we felt we could bring a lot to the table. So I think that was the original concept, but let Vinny kind of jump in and, elaborate a little bit more as GetBlok.io as a company.
Yeah, sure. Vinny, take it away.
Yeah, so my background, to give you a little bit of history, what was my inspiration and my portion of GetBlok.io. I've been in information technology for 25 years. I started straight out of school in being information technology, especially in the enterprise space, and eventually to cloud. And so I've been into the information technology machine, as many of us who are miners, have some experience in IT. And one of the things that I found is that there's such a disconnect between what you do in IT to real world impact, right? Yep. And so, I was actually kind of late into the blockchain space. I have friends tell me about this thing like Bitcoin and what is it? I didn't really grasp it. And, as I started to hear more and more about it, especially coming up through the bull run, I started to learn a lot about kind of why, what is the manifesto around, crypto. And, why does it matter? Why is it different than traditional fiat? And so for me, it was to, apply technology, and crypto is software, right? So you talk about anybody who really doesn't know crypto, they think about crypto as currency, but really blockchain is kind of the real key and real secret sauce back there. I think the magic behind it and the value. So for me, it was to get involved into the blockchain community, to be able to develop concepts, capabilities, and use cases that have real world impact. And so when Rob and Karat and I kind of came up with this concept of what is GetBlok.io, what should we be focusing on, what should our roadmap be based on, is really developing technology that has real world applicability to blockchain. So for example, as CW, earlier on in the Ukraine crisis, we worked on creating a blockchain-based mechanism for people to donate. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
The other piece is around proof of vote, right? So, here in the States, we just came out of a very tumultuous kind of election year, right? Election year kind of around transparency, be able people to trust the mechanism. So proof of vote for me was kind of very close and I think very personal to a lot of people, is how can we drive consensus? And then lastly is how can we take that, the brand of GetBlok.io, the things we're doing with Smart Pool around transparency, how can we further the cause around consensus mechanisms, proof of work, beyond just people buying hardware, either large scale or small scale, connecting it to a blockchain and just receiving rewards very passively, right? How can we be more active? How can we create a marketplace that through smart contracts, through transparency, people can benefit financially, but also contribute in different ways, kind of kickstart this ecosystem. And then last is, Ergo was a very natural onboard for us because it's such a lower barrier of entry to develop, as well as, lower cost to do a lot of things. We were just doing a lot of our accounting for a lot of transactions we do in Smart Pool. It would be very expensive to do all of these transactions on any other blockchain, I think. And that's where Ergo, I think, is the natural home for us.
Yeah, that is quite the inspiration. You did mention smart pooling. You're renowned for your smart pooling. Just want to give a bit of a quick overview on that, and then we'll sort of dive into the other products and services that you guys offer.
Yeah, so let me take the Smart Pool, and then Vinny can take it away with some of the other products and services. So Smart Pool, in a sense, is, we took a traditional mining pool, right, which is Stratum servers, nodes, things of that nature, which is just standard. Many people can create a mining pool. There's a lot of information out there to do so, but it's disjointed, right? So, we took what's out there, we kind of pulled it all together. We had to do some customization to make it work for us, but then we took it a step further and we integrated, based on, some of the foundation of the Ergo blockchain with their smart contracts. We've been able to take those smart contracts, customize them, and allow them to integrate with our mining pool. So things like payments, miner settings, fees, pretty much anything that would generally process through, our Stratums and our nodes are also now going through a smart contract. So what that does is it provides, a higher level of transparency. A lot of the data is now not only stored, in our backend, but it's also stored within the blockchain as well. So it gives miners just that additional layer of transparency and visibility. But we also knew we can take this a step further and, utilize this smart contract for additional use cases. And I think Vinny touched on some of those, but, like the hash rate for harmony program that we initiated, the proof of vote mechanism, and then obviously subpooling, which is, again, taking that same, smart contract foundation or framework and building on that, right? So we've been able to kind of implement multiple smart contracts within our pool. And that creates what we call subpools. So, I think we've touched on this multiple times, but, the simple explanation is, a bunch of friends want to pool their hash rate together, form a mining pool underneath our pool, and they share those block rewards within that subpool. Well, again, we, always, reaching to, do new things and, reach for the stars. So we took the framework, and we've been collaborating with multiple projects within the ecosystem. And we've been able to launch subpools kind of specific to the projects, such as Comet and Neta, which have been kind of our, name to fame, so to speak, as far as subpooling is concerned. But, we can plan to continue to build on that. And again, that's, it's really a small piece of what we do. The pool kind of, I think it took a life of its own, right? And it's out there and it's growing very rapidly. But, taking a step back, that's not all we do. And that's not the foundation of the business. So that's where I'd like to turn it over to Vinny. He can kind of elaborate on some of the other services that we offer. And, really the goal is, at the end of the day, is we offer a lot of services, but how can we bring this all together, right? Where we bring it all together and it all becomes one unity. And as Vinny kind of goes through the different services, you'll kind of see how we're looking at that. But again, the end game is, how can we collectively bring this all together where, it's very user friendly, and miners can not only, mine on the mining pool, but they can utilize some of our additional services as well.
Yeah, I think, Vinny, you touched on it just briefly. Mining is quite passive in the sort of traditional sense, where you've got a mining pool and miners just connect, you reap your rewards, basically, of depending on how much hash rate you've got. Subpooling obviously just takes that another step further, and you've got some sort of interactivity there with being able to offer token distribution and bits and pieces. But then also that provides the innovation on the mining pool side, but you're not just a mining pool, are you? So what other sort of services does GetBlok IO offer?
Yeah. So I think, Rob explained it very well where our vision is, but let me talk about some of the peripheral things that we're looking at to do. So it all goes back to when my kids ask me, why do I have, dozens of mining machines running, right? And hundreds of GPUs. What's the benefit there? The thing that I don't want them to take away is that it's just a monetary grab, right? Because yes, we have to pay bills, the bills, we have to pay electricity. There's a financial concept, but one of the things that we want to do with GetBlok, going back to our mission, is how can we drive an ecosystem around proof of work, the technology, the expertise that has an economic impact, right? So what we've done, and we've been doing this since last year, we kind of kept it under wraps for various reasons as we're developing it. We actually partnered with a local region here in southwestern Pennsylvania for driving an economic growth. As you may not know this, but here in the southwestern PA was kind of the center for the world for steel production back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and a little bit into the 80s. And then that economy died, right? So as you drive through any of the, Ohio River, Allegheny River, so all of the different corridors where there's, massive industrial presence, that has pretty much been eradicated. So you see the downfall of the economic, decline into unemployment, crime, drug use, lack of education. And a lot of it is despair, right? And so when we were thinking about how can we pair the software development that's been incubated, developed, and R&D'd in the smart pool, how can we pair the managed hosting services that we'll talk about as well? And how can we wrap all of this in a way that has local economic benefit, not just to southwestern PA, but potentially other regions around the world? I'm sure everybody can bring up an example of your local areas, local towns that used to be, booming and now are in decline. And you have all these kind of downturn and negative effects into the local economy, right? And local culture. So one of the things we've done is we actually invested into a local town that here in southwestern PA, it's called Aliquippa. And Aliquippa used to be kind of the heart of the steel industry here in the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah.
And we actually are investing now into facilities. We've acquired facility, we acquire land. And what we're launching and coming towards the end of this year and into next year is an internship and apprenticeship program where through the local economy, local high schools, local colleges, community colleges, and four-year degree colleges, to be able to create a pathway, a pipeline for those who have a desire and interest in blockchain. And I'll tell you, there's huge interest, especially young community, that they want to participate in blockchain, but they don't know how to get their foot in the door that can develop a career, right? And the other side of the equation is in the blockchain, as we all know, there's such a huge shortage of talent, right? We have to grow our talent. We have to be able to bring people in. And I think that's where Ergo is great, provides an easy on-ramp to learn with Deco and a lot of the kind of incentives to learn, right? There's a lot of community efforts to learn about, how to script, write code and scale it. And so what we're doing is we're working locally to create the pathway so that people have access to be able to come into a facility. We're building a center of excellence in Aliquippa that's going to be a mixed use for students, for learning, for work. And we're going to have the technology present there so people can have access, be able to have touch and work on how do you build a rig? How does proof of work works? How does proof of stake work, right? What is, be able to be more tangible than just going to a classroom, which is very limited to learn about blockchain right now, right? You may learn about full stack development, but that's a step into getting to blockchain development. So back to the question, we're trying to wrap this into an ecosystem where it's self-sustainable. We want to be able to contribute to the local economy, be able to bring jobs, be able to bring placement, be able to keep the talent local versus what's called here the brain drain. They may learn here. We have Carnegie Mellon, University of Pittsburgh, great institutions, but then they go Seattle, right? They go work for Google or go work somewhere else. So it kind of is a brain drain in the local economy. They don't invest in the local economy because they're not present, right? Yep. But a lot of people want to stay. So in summary, we're taking the software, we're taking the economic impact to be able to hire, grow talent so it's sustainable versus poaching developers from other programs, right? Pair them with senior seasoned experienced developers like Choose Enthusiasts, right? And others. And then the hosting side, right? So we are actually, we just finished a phase 1 study of leveraging renewable energy plus local energy sources like natural gas to drive a lot of the cost of energy in a multi-selection process, not only from the grid. We have great grid supply here. We have a nuclear power plant that's not too far. Our mixture of green renewable is actually above 50% for this region, which is really great. But also, how can we be more sustainable as we go through these peaks and valleys of energy demand, right? And that translates to something for our customers as we're kind of piloting this GetBlok, smart block managed hosting, is to bring supply discounts so we can get access to GPUs and ASIC miners at high discounts, be able to host it at a lower cost for customers, and be able to provide that white glove service. And last, going back to Rob's point, integrated all into a unified view. So our managed hosting is being worked on to be integrated into the smart pool UI with the new UI that we launched. So that way a customer can participate in smart pool, subpooling, managed hosting, all kind of in a interlaced unified user access. So that's the big picture. Hopefully that gives you a little insight into what we got up our sleeves.
Yes, just a very small insight. I think it's a really great initiative. Obviously, education is sort of the key to a stepping stone to sort of get out of those sort of lower economic sort of scenarios that a lot of people sort of find themselves in. And with the macro sort of environment that we're in at the moment, a lot more people will sort of might find themselves in that scenario. You did touch on people having a keen interest in blockchain, but just not having the means or the education or the drive to be able to talk to someone, even locally or face to face, to be able to take that next step. So it's a really good initiative, I believe.
Yeah, it's been very well received. So I've been attending a lot of these meetups and group events that happen here in the region. There is such an interest. I think primarily because the consumer side of attention, especially through the bull run around NFTs, right? It captures a lot of the young, audience. They're very intrigued by it, but they don't know what's behind it. And they don't know how can they, something they love so much, but how can they make that a career, right? They can earn a decent living, right? They don't know that pathway. So we're trying to help kind of doing outreaches and, helping educate and also give pathways for employment.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Obviously, you're innovating on the blockchain space, but then you're also helping the community. It's awesome. You did touch on sort of your managed hosting services. Do you want to sort of just elaborate a little bit on how your managing hosting facility is set up, and sort of what products you offer in that respect?
Sure. So we offer three different services. One, which is, we call it bring your own GPU, which is effectively, as everybody around the world is getting crunched and hammered on power, right? Power costs are just going up. And by the way, for everyone listening, we work very closely with energy service providers. So as a managed hosting, we establish contracts that are to allow us to have the lowest cost for lowest or longest period of time around energy supply, right? There's a energy, power is kind of a marketplace on its own, right? So there's bids and there's buys and sells, right? So it is going to get bad until early next year, especially in the US, right? So, we're already getting the notices. Today, there is a curtailment notice for our energy from our energy provider. Curtailment notice is basically them saying, look, we don't have enough energy and there's going to be a peak demand happening between 1 and 6 p.m., right? Because it's summer here. So they kind of ask us, can you curtail your energy usage? So we do work with energy providers. We establishing contracts. We actually, one of the things that's interesting about our managed hosting, we talk about bring your own GPU. You can ship the GPU to us. It's tracked, it's insured. We receive it, we document it, we test it, make sure your GPU is not damaged in transit. If it's damaged in transit, we'll work with you on the claims to the shipper around damage and returns. And then we host it in what we've chosen to be server cases. We partner with Octominer exclusively for air-based cooling. We are working on providing a liquid cooling option for some of those customers who really want to really drive the energy consumption further down. But for air-based cooling, we use Octominer. We both have the 8 GPU and the 12 GPU Ultra in the high specs. That's our standard. It just eliminates a lot of the issues with risers and power supplies. It's just a very solid foundation and great customer service. If something breaks, we own it, we take care of it. But we host your GPU and we can provide some basic maintenance like cleaning off dust that accumulates, things like that. If there's initial troubleshooting, working with you, for example, if your GPUs need to be repadded or repasted because they're just are old, we can work very cost effectively to do that for you as well. And then we'll ship the GPU back to you as well when your term ends. We offer terms in monthly, quarterly, and yearly. You accumulate some additional discounts as you sign up for a longer period of time with us. But it's also, our facility is insured to $5 million, which means if it burns, if it floods, if it gets stolen, it is covered. Okay. And we use the Hartford, which is A+ carrier here in the US worldwide for all of facilities. So it is kind of gives you a little bit of peace of mind. For those who that don't know us, I'm going to ship you my GPU, and how do I know I'm going to get it back, right? We are a registered entity. We are actually a formed entity here in Pennsylvania and the United States. And so it's not like we can disappear. It's not like we're in the ether of an operating company. We do have some accountability. And I think we've been gaining some of the trust of the community as well through the smart pool, where we're dealing with real money being transacted on the smart contracts. And if something goes wrong, we have to own it, right? And we've done that. So GPU hosting is one aspect. The other aspect too, we provide subscription services to rigs from monthly, quarterly to yearly, where we provide a small, medium, large. Keep it simple. Small hash rate, which is kind of right about 30 to 40 mega hash a second on ETH, for comparison, that's what everybody uses for comparison. Medium, getting to about 60, and then large is 80 and above of mega hash a second. And so we standardize on both AMD and NVIDIA. We have a partnership with NVIDIA, as many of everybody knows, around some of their initiatives to partner with other GPU consumers. So we've done that. We get some very good discounts, and we have great relationships. I just had a very expensive GPU from NVIDIA go bad on me, work with the manufacturer for RMAs, and they've supported us very well. So to your question, you can send us a GPU, or if you don't want to buy GPUs, you just want to rent something that you can then configure with your keys. It's your crypto. We provide subscription services for mining rigs. Again, they're based on octominers. We standardize small, medium, large, and you have access. We provide you access. We have a couple customers already being onboarded. You have access to Hive OS for you to be able to manage a flight sheet. You can configure your wallet in there. You can't connect into the machines. We kind of control some of this system access, but you have full access as far as what is it mining, and it's fully transparent. You can see, is it really mining to my wallet 100% of the time, right? See, some of these mining rig, outfits, you don't know, right? If they're kind of taking 5 minutes out of the day.
Yeah, just scraping a little up on the side.
Exactly. No, we don't want, that's one thing that Rob and I and Karat agreed on, is we don't want to get in the middle of the crypto handling for a couple of reasons, from a liability, from an insurance, and a risk. It's just not our business model. So it's your crypto, your keys. And then last but not least, we do sell them, right? So we do sell both GPUs, or we can sell a fully configured Octominer rig if you just wanted something that's turnkey, that gets ordered, lowest price. A lot of the pricing we're getting, especially now, are below MSRP. And we can translate that savings to you. Yeah,
that was what my next question was going to be. Sorry, just about your hardware offering. So you just touched on that briefly. I think Octominer is a great choice. Obviously, they have a little bit sort of an efficiency in regards to cooling, but then also the footprint themselves as well. They're nice and compact and easy to be able to set up a facility to be able to be hosting these sort of services.
Yeah, I'll tell you a comparison, right? So, I started from, Rob and I building our own rigs, so I got all the way to the point where I blueprinted, aluminum, L brackets, and kind of building it. It will take me, hours to build a rig. And then you have all the supply chain challenge of buying a motherboard and buying the CPU and the risers and then GPUs, power supplies. You have to, and the cabling, right? All the power cable is 6-pin and 8-pin. Now, when I have to deploy an Octominer for a customer, it is from boxed to plugged and online, ready to be connected to Hive OS in 15 minutes.
Yeah, good stuff.
You can't beat that. And it's, as we transition more from open air rigs to Octominer, and a lot of people are doing that, it is a set and forget. So where you're having cooling problems because it's an old card, it's not bad enough that it's warrants replacing the pads and the, and the paste, but it's kind of still warm. You put it on those problems go away. So, and we've actually had, scenarios where we have to test the warranty claim by Octominer, and it's been fantastic. Really, you have to say that their claim process, their support process, very quick, very efficient, and they're quick on it. So that makes the choice simple for us as a service provider. Yeah, no,
that's great to hear. So obviously that's one step in regards to sort of the mining pool side of things. You have the sub pooling, and then you obviously have the hosted services that you're just touching on. Then your community initiatives. You've got a lot going on, but then also software development. Rob, do you want to sort of touch on this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. And taking a step back, very high level, our main focus is really on 3 platforms, right? So obviously we touched on education, right? So that's obviously an area we want to continue to develop in. Our smart block hosting, which we obviously elaborated on, and then software development as well, right? So I think that there's several use cases out there within the blockchain space where software development, especially with the utilization of smart contracts, where we can identify these use cases and then use this software development to solve some of these issues, right? And again, we touch on it: proof of vote, hash rate for harmony. There's endless capabilities, real world issues that can be solved with software development. So we do obviously have a roadmap. It's it's out there. There's a lot in there that basically we've identified up front, but I think for us there really is no limitation, right? If there's a use case that makes sense and it fits our ethos, so to speak, then I think that we would definitely look to focus in that specific area. We're open to collaboration. We're open to looking cross-chain, things of that nature, which we're starting to dig into right now and seeing, what's beyond what we're doing now. But if we look back at the roadmap from just an overall standpoint, there's a lot of things that we're looking to focus on here in the near future. I think we obviously focused a lot on the mining pool, and there's some more that's obviously coming with that. User-made subpools, I think, will be the kind of next big launch that we'll be doing, within the mining pool space. But we've identified a lot of other options, right? Or a lot of other, targets that we have. So L2 solutions, right? And I think, without getting into too much detail, we're exploring, development with Plasma. That's been Karat's baby for, quite some time now. And, there's a lot that can come out of that, not only with efficiency, but scalability and, potentially, we look at, having an L2 solution that's, dedicated to GetBlok. So, more to come with that. We are exploring GetBlok.io tokens, so we'll start there. We won't,
Well, that's a little bit of an exciting revelation. Sorry, it's a little bit late here, and my brain's not ticking over. Yeah, it's a little bit of a revelation there. Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, without getting into too much detail, I think we've identified some true utility that we can utilize tokens for, and more to come with that, because we're really excited. We think that this is going to be, not only huge for GetBlok, but huge for, the entire Ergo ecosystem and beyond that. And then, again, there's several use cases just with smart contract development in itself, right? A smart contract, in a sense, it's a contract, right? It's that old vending machine. You put money in, you get, something in return, right? So, we've identified some use cases where we can kind of expand beyond, traditional mining and things of that nature, but look to get into multiple industries, finance, right? Which is, something we're looking at now. What economic instruments could we utilize smart contracts for that can, provide benefits for, the end user? Healthcare, federal, right? So there's all these things that we can kind of branch out our core development and get into, multiple different facets, right? And again, empowering, humanity through blockchain, right? So I think that, we're not limited to the mining pool. We're not limited to hosting. It's what else can we use, our technology, our knowledge, and our strengths within the blockchain space, to branch out beyond, just traditional, blockchain capabilities, right? So that's it in a nutshell, just from, high level, what we're looking to do next, kind of some of the things, within our roadmap. Vinny, I'm not sure if you have anything you want to kind of add to that.
No, I think you hit it. One thing I would remind, that one of the core principles we always trying to interlace into these capabilities is how can proof of work participate into these initiatives, right? And it goes back to what the statement I made earlier, CW, around mining is more of a passive. How can it be a more active engagement, right? Where we can bring, in a distributed manner or a centralized manner, large and small miners to be able to participate in something that yields more than just monetary reward, right? So Rob talked about, we're thinking about a GetBlok.io token launch. How can we tie all these initiatives so that proof of work participants can not only secure the network, but they can also participate and benefit from all of these other activities, right? So we showed already initiative around how proof of work can participate into natural erg rewards, but also, participating and contributing and benefiting from other product and project launches like an BTC. But how can we bring others to it, right? How can they earn rewards that they can leverage for hosting? How can we earn rewards for hash rate, rental, right? How can they earn rewards to participate, maybe having equity in some investments that we're doing elsewhere, right? So these are the kind of things we're trying to bring it into a cohesive ecosystem, but goes back to how can proof of work be part of those initiatives?
Yeah, I think it's really engaging, and I think we've mentioned on a couple of times on previous videos is that it makes mining fun and exciting again. So keeping that engagement and people utilizing it and getting involved in the ecosystem, say Ergo or your community initiatives, things like of that nature. Another thing I'd like to sort of mention as well is we've touched on this a couple of times in the weekly developer update. It's funny that one of the first L2 solutions actually coming from a mining pool as such. Like obviously you guys are more than a mining pool. That's what we've been discussing here. But yeah, you get the same sort of concept in that respect. It's really interesting and exciting.
Yeah, and I think that digging into what's beyond just a traditional mining pool has helped us a lot with identifying what else is out there. And I think that and we'll see more of it coming, I'm sure, but I think that you guys probably touched on it very well in one of the developer updates. But for other mining pools that have 10, 15, 20 coins that they're providing availability to miners to, unfortunately, Ergo is just a small drop in the bucket for them, right? So I think that, there's been lack of focus on what's outside of traditional mining and just collecting a fee, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a business for most mining pools. And, collecting a fee is great, right? And, everyone has to pay bills and, there's a cost associated to running a mining pool. So completely understand that. But I think there's value digging into the blockchain, understanding, what are some of the software development utilizations that you can apply to a traditional mining pool that set yourself away, from the rest, right? And I think that we found a little niche and we've been able to kind of build and grow on that. And it will be interesting to see as, ETH merge comes and things of that nature, whatever other creativity is out there, right, that could come to the proof of work space.
Yeah, I think that's really important aspect in any business is finding that sort of point of difference and the development in regards to sort of the traditional mining pool setup. It's quite stagnant. So I think what you guys is bringing a lot of innovation to the table. It's good to see.
Thank you.
All right, so that's a sort of bit of a rundown on all your infrastructure sort of side of things. What's next on the roadmap?
Yeah, so I'll jump in here. So obviously, I think we touched on it. User-based subpools is going to be kind of the next big launch. But before we get there, we're currently in conversations with multiple projects within the Ergo community. I think we touched on a couple of them, but ErgoPad is very interested in launching a subpool. We have a few other projects that I don't want to mention yet, but I'd say there's probably 3 or 4 other opportunities, again, directly within the Ergo ecosystem that we'll be focusing on. Neta phase 2 and phase 3. So we just launched, a publication yesterday that we will be continuing those phases with them. Phase 2 is really just an extension of the emission. So we'll be going from the initial 10 million, which is just about exhausted. We will have an injection of another 5 million neta. It'll be slightly at a reduced emissions rate. So instead of the 22%, it'll be slightly lower than that. But I think at the end of the day, it's still providing that additional benefit to miners. And then there's phase 3, which is coming, which we're really excited for. Obviously, a lot of the fine details are being worked out, but it's, utilizing some of the Neta Angels and Neta Angel holders will potentially, not potentially, but they will earn additional rewards as they're mining on the mining pool. So that's phase 3. That's, coming soon. Again, we're really excited about that because that just proves, again, with smart contracts, how can you take, NFTs, which is kind of a completely different category from mining in itself, and then utilize that to earn additional rewards on a mining pool. I think that's just so incredible that that should go a long way. And then, outside of that, we're looking, outside of Ergo cross chain, right? How can we bring some of the other blockchains that are out there and bring them within the Ergo ecosystem, right? And is there a method through subpooling, which we feel there is, where we can start looking with some of these other blockchains and see how can we possibly integrate, dual asset mining, or even, looking to work with developers on finding bridges to, connect some of these different blockchains to each other. So more to come on that. That's another exciting piece that we're really starting to look into, because we think that the interoperability between blockchains is important, right? And I think, expanding beyond Ergo and finding a way to kind of bring all this together, which, users are looking for, I think will go a long way with the community.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a lot of innovation. Vinny, anything you want to sort of touch on that in that respect?
I think that the only thing I'll highlight from what Rob said is, I think there's two ways to grow an ecosystem. Either capital, right? There's a lot of money pumping in, going into exchanges, people are buying, people are selling, there's kind of a financial ecosystem. And the other one is creating value, right? Why should somebody care about Ergo? And I think providing, and I was telling Rob this, I think a week or two when we launched the NetaBTC subpool, it kind of clicked in my head that the key for Ergo to be successful is interoperability of projects in their own ways, right? Sometimes there might be something that they can interoperate, sometimes there isn't, but the interoperability is going to be key. And interoperability to outside of the ecosystem is going to be key. If Ergo can evolve, and I think it will, to being the one place where projects can easily interoperate internally and externally, I think that's where we're going to see a huge boom and focus, attention, peak media, all that stuff that drives the money coming in, right? Drives the utilization of the blockchain. So I think we're just in the beginning. I'm really excited about the future, but to highlight what Rob said, I think that interoperability, the NetaBTC team has been, fantastic to work with, and kind of how do we make this, being new, how do we make this valuable for users? And we saw what happened.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. Ergo obviously has its own unique features throughout, like optional privacy and a number of other sort of innovations that it brings to the blockchain space. So for people external to that, projects external, blockchains external, having that interoperability to be able to come and utilize the feature set on Ergo is massive. So if you guys can bring some of that innovation, it'd be really sort of I'd say valued in the ecosystem. It'd be great to see.
Yeah, and just one thing to add to that, I think that if you look at the landscape now, right, we're in a bear market. It's very difficult for many projects to raise capital and things of that nature. Well, it's been quite incredible to see, the influx of growth on the mining pool for NetaBTC. And, I think everyone knows, all the ERG that's mined on that, on that pool, obviously it swaps with Neta, it gives the miners that additional advantage and that additional benefit. But at the same time, Neta is also able to, contribute to their community fund, invest in R&D, which is completely challenging at this point in time, right? I mean, if you think about it, trying to raise funds in the crypto space where, everything's kind of at the bottom and it's spiraling, and, it's hard to do, right? So to kind of see, how a mining pool proof of work can provide that value, not only to miners, but to the projects themselves, I mean, I think it's a win-win-win, right? Everyone benefits. So, I mean, I think it's incredible to kind of see, that activity, especially in the landscape that we're currently facing.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I think that's a good sort of segue to wrap things up here. Is there any last words that you guys want to sort of mention? Anything that you've missed out that you want to sort of get across to the viewers today?
On my end, I think, it's just, again, we are definitely more than just a mining pool. Obviously, we're looking to, expand our reach and, look beyond, just traditional mining. So, there's things like, the smart contracts and the managed hosting and things like that. Well, we're open, if there's, any project out there that's, kind of looking to enter the space, or, looking to kind of build off of what we're doing within GetBlok.io, please feel free to reach out to us. We're open to, basically exploring anything. I think there's no bad idea. And, we'd love to collaborate with, other projects that are out there.
Yeah, very well said. And Vinny?
No, I think I think Rob summed it up really well. I just want to thank really be thankful for all the community members who have been supporting, contributing, entrusting us with, you're really entrusting us with, some of the rewards that you guys are doing, the time you spend and the money you spend, electricity you use. I do really want to thank everybody for being part of this journey. It's far from over. We have a lot, as we mentioned, a lot up our sleeve. I think that will be contributing to the ecosystem, but I really want to thank everybody who has been supportive, provided constructive criticism. We love that as well, so we can be better, and challenge us. If there's something is not right, it's not as transparent as you like, we're there, right? We are on Twitter. We're pretty responsive on Twitter. We are on Telegram. We are on Discord. I think there's many ways for people to get a hold of us, and we're here to help. So please stay in touch, and thank you again, CW and everybody who's been supporting us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for the chat today, gentlemen. It's been a very nice discussion, and I've learned a lot in this this forum as well. So yeah, thanks once again.
Not a problem. Take care. Thanks for having us.
All right, cheers, guys. Thanks very much for watching this video. Take care and have a great Ergoversary. Have a good one.